All right, what's up, everybody? Brian Rhodes here. We got
Oh,
a action-packed freaking Zoom tonight with a lot of information. So I'm gonna take myself out of this quick because my Wi-Fi is not that great right now. So I've made a lot of different co-hosts with our show here, but I'm really excited to bring on a special presenter that is a wealth of knowledge. And honestly, I'm gonna let my buddy Ryan introduce him. Ryan is not on my team, and Tony is technically not on my team either. But I'm working with Ryan, and we're just trying to bring as much as much value as we can as a team, as a community at Connect United to everybody that we can touch, because we truly believe that this is not only going to change our lives, but everybody else's lives that touch this, you know. So when I first heard this from Billy Womack, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And first, all he said was, welcome to the other side. And I'm just like, and now I understand what you mean, you know, because so many different things out there. And then I got on a Zoom, Ryan was hosting with Tony, and Tony's like, yeah, I put like 50 something million into some nodes. And I'm like, what is going on here? You know, so I'm like, okay, this is way bigger than what I've thought, you know, where people are normally like, well, what's the minimum I can start with type. So when I dove deep into this as well, it was just kind of like nonstop flowing information, and still I can't keep up with how much cool information there is to know. So Ryan, if you're available right now, I see you on there. I want you to introduce Tony, because you do such a great job. I love hearing you speak. You bring so much value to my community, your community. I'm so grateful to be a part of this, to be working with people like Tony, Thomas, Danny, yourself, Ryan, Billy, Sally. You know, we have a great group of people here. Even my buddy Demetrius teaching me so much about online marketing as well. So, you know, jump into this community and soak up all this information. So, Ryan, please take over, and thank you guys for being on here tonight.
hey, thanks so much, Brian. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate your, willingness to collaborate. I love your point of view. I think it's amazing when there are human beings who have risen to a place in consciousness where it doesn't have to be a competition. It doesn't have to be a threat. Everything is about win-win. There truly is an abundance. And unfortunately, a lot of the programming and the conditioning that many of us receive when we're growing up as children is really not one that causes us to see the world in abundance or to see win-win relationships. We feel like there's not enough. We feel like there's scarcity. We tend to think that if we don't only look out for ourselves, that somehow we're going to miss out. And really, if we are open to evolving as human beings, if we're open to becoming aware of what we got programmed and conditioned to think and believe, so often in my life, what I have found is through that awareness, I can then level up and I can begin to not only do better financially, but I can rise to a greater place as a human being. I can have more joy. I can handle difficulty in a greater way. I can operate in more wisdom. I can have more satisfaction in my relationships. My health can improve. And so, yeah, tonight we're going to hear from a friend of mine, someone that I got to know originally through pickleball, and then got reintroduced to him actually through someone I have a lot of respect for, someone who's been very, very successful, has made, millions and millions of dollars, and has really done some tremendous things in business. And I flew to Puerto Rico a couple of weeks ago. My wife went with me. We got to spend about a week with Tony and his wife, and it was intimate time. We got to be in their home. We got to share meals together. I got to see Tony do probably 30 or 40 Zooms. I got to ask a lot of questions. It's not every day that you get to be around someone that has had the kind of success and financial success that they have. And it just really reminded me that he is really no different than me. He's no different than you, other than about 20 years ago when he started out as an entrepreneur in business, he thought just a little bit different than me. And so it's almost like if we were in an airplane and we were both leaving out on our careers from New York City, and his whatever they call those things that pilots use to track their route. His was just a little bit more to the right. And so 20 years later, I ended up in LA and he ended up in Canada. And let's just say Canada represents hundreds of millions of dollars in net worth, and LA, well, it's the other end of the spectrum. And so you can feel like there's this huge gap between people that are essentially way ahead. And when people think that way, they'll limit themselves. But what I realized is the only difference between me and Tony is one or two little things in the way he thought 20 years ago. Well, I can shift that little thinking. And guess what? Because of technology, because of what you're going to see tonight, I actually could catch up to Tony, and I don't have to have it take 20 years. And the other reason is because he's mentoring me. So, folks, you're not behind. You're not behind in life. You're exactly where God and the universe and source thought you would be. You can just open up your minds and open up your hearts this evening. And guess what? Because everything keeps getting better, faster, and faster, better, you can accelerate the timeline. You can learn everything that Tony's already figured out and more. And then because of this platform and this opportunity, if you have the guts to get out of your own way and not self-sabotage and take advantage of it, who knows what might happen? Now, folks, there's no guarantee. And maybe these projects and maybe this company fails. Nobody has a crystal ball, but you definitely miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So money makers are note takers. Get your notepads out, sit back and enjoy my friend, my mentor, and a guy that I'm just so glad I got reintroduced to a few weeks ago and just love being in business with. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Tony Swantek.
Hey, buddy. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thanks for the kind introduction, Ryan. Appreciate you and Brian putting the Zoom together and allowing us to invite people from all over the world. I'm seeing New Zealand, and I see just at the top of the chat, Overland Park, South Kansas City, USA. I literally I flew out of Wichita this morning and landed in Puerto Rico this afternoon around 3:30. So I'm back home in Puerto Rico, but it's kind of crazy to be on a Zoom where you got New Zealand and Kansas City on at the same time. And I'm sure we got a lot in between as well. And I know there's a lot of co-hosts. Just make sure you keep admitting people as they come in. I'm going to go through the overview. I know some of you have maybe seen a basic overview, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because we do have videos that are out there that people can certainly share with you and you can get more in depth. But I really wanted to focus on a couple things tonight after I go through a brief overview. One is the new promotions. There's 3 pretty major promotions I want to cover this evening. And then I'm going to kind of open it up, and I want you guys to hear first from some individuals that are newer to the community, that are newer to the cryptocurrency blockchain world. You know, it's something that was not in their repertoire, so to speak. Some of them prior to like 8 weeks ago, you know, and they've been able to find a lot of success in this space. And I want people to hear from them because I think it's certainly easier to relate to someone. Maybe if you're watching something like this for the first time, you've never been involved in blockchain technology, you know, maybe not involved in any type of cryptocurrency or anything like that. And it's like, hey, you know, a lot of people, and I've got, you know, a very good friend that has done extremely well in a short period of time in this project, just over 8 weeks. And he couldn't have spelled blockchain 9 weeks ago. You know, like, was there a hyphen in there? Is it one word? Is it 2 words? And he's the one that said that. I'm not making fun of him. He's like, dude, I couldn't spell blockchain. Like and had no desire. It's funny because as people were explaining it to him, he told me, he's like, I kind of heard if you ever watch the Charlie Brown cartoon, there's a teacher, you got to be a little older to know that, but it's like, it just goes, the teacher's talking and the kids are just hearing wah, 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 wah. It's not like real words. And he's like, that's what I felt like I was listening to when you guys were explaining everything. It's like, I had no clue. And he thought to himself, you know what? That's great for Tony and Tomas and these guys, but it's not for me. I don't understand that kind of stuff. And I'll you know, that's not for me. And it hit him. It was like, when you're learning about something new, especially, technologically, as we talk about blockchain, and you'll hear, the news might talk about it and refer to it as Web3. And as he became pretty successful, and he's a very successful guy, he stopped himself from saying, that's not for me, that's not for me. And he goes, you know what? Like, when something's a little outside of your comfort zone, that's when you should probably try and learn more about it and figure out what's going on here. And I want to share this basic information with you guys. Like I said, I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. But I came from a background that's not very tech savvy. I'm not a computer programmer. I studied finance and economics in school and started out as an entrepreneur pretty much right out of the gate after college in the business world. And I've done well in several different industries, several different businesses. And about 2017, I was exiting a company in restaurant delivery, kind of like Uber Eats or DoorDash. It was called My Town To Go, My Town, the number 2 Go. It's called delivery.com now. We sold a third of the business to a company called Eat Street out of Madison, Wisconsin. And then we merged the other 2/3 with a company called delivery.com. And it was an Inc. 500 company in the United States, which means it was one of the fastest growing privately held companies in the United States of America. And that was in 2020. We were in Inc. 500 magazine. And I was in the middle of kind of working on those exits and mergers. And my friend Tomas, who's actually on the Zoom tonight, he called me and he's like, hey, you need to buy these nodes from this company. It's called Gala Games. And I was like, what's a node? And he's like, it's computer software. He's like, they'll borrow your computer power basically and pay you to use it. And these people can play these games like Farmville. Have you heard of Farmville? He's like, yeah, these guys are creating this decentralized gaming. And I didn't know anything about that stuff. I had invested in some Bitcoin and just bought some cryptocurrency, but I didn't understand much about any of it. And he's like, you got to buy these nodes. And he goes, they'll pay you. And now all right, that gets my attention. I was like, what do they pay you? And he goes, they give you these Gala tokens. And I was like, well, Tomas, like, how much is a Gala token worth? And he goes, well, right now, nothing. And I was like, well, this sounds amazing. So you're going to borrow my computer. You're going to pay me with magic internet money that's not worth anything. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, if a bunch of people start playing the games, there could end up being a lot of value to that token. And I said, okay, I want to buy like 10 grand worth of these nodes. And he said, okay. He goes, you got to call me. It was like in like 2 or 3 weeks. And I got busy. I was doing these mergers and the exit. And I had a credit card processing company that's pretty big. We do maybe 4 to 5 billion a year in transactions. So I've got all these other companies that are doing really well, and I'm keeping an eye on all that. And I just forgot. I don't play games. I wasn't going to be using their gaming devices or whatever the heck they were doing. And I just forgot about it. And then I fast forward about 1.5 years, and I watch him make like $100-some million. And I'm like what? Like, he's like, well, people started playing the games, millions of them. I'm like, well, how does that even happen? And he's like, and I started going like, with my 10 grand, like, how many nodes would I have had? And he's like, oh, you'd had like 20 nodes at that time. And he's like, and I was like, well, how many tokens would that have gotten? Like, how much? He's like, well, he goes, you would have had to sell them, but he's like, eventually somewhere between $5 and $10 million is what you probably missed out on. I was like, I wish I was a gamer. I'm sitting there going, what was I so busy doing that I couldn't call my friend and just say, hey, I want to send you that money for the magic nodes that you're selling, And I'm just, I think we've all been there, right? Like, we've been at the right place at the right time, but we didn't realize it. Or maybe we realized it, but we didn't do anything. Like, I wanted to buy it, but I didn't take action. And so in October of last year, he called me back. Like, we do business together, but he called me again and he was like, hey, the guys that built all the blockchain for Gala, he goes, they're launching like 12 new projects to the world, and you're going to want to see what they're doing. Now I'm on high alert. I'm like, okay, like, let me see what's going on. And I want to share with you the same thing they shared with me. And that way you can kind of get an idea of what I saw and why I got excited about it. So this is just a quick slideshow. And again, like I said, we've got videos that'll take a little bit longer. I do want to get into the promotions tonight. But the ecosystem is called Connect. And they shared this with me. And if you're new to blockchain, I think one of the explanations they gave me, it really hit home. They said, Tony, the internet allows us to share information freely throughout the world, real time, without needing a third party. I can get the weather for, Puerto Rico. I did right before I flew out of Kansas, right there on my phone. You could tell me if it's raining in Tokyo right now. We used to have to wait for the weatherman or weatherwoman on the news to tell us those things. And you certainly, if you're in, Pratt, Kansas, where I grew up, you were not going to get the weather in Tokyo anytime soon. You guys can literally get the weather all around the world. You can get information at your fingertips. Who won Super Bowl 11? You can look at who won the UEFA Champions Cup in 1999. You can literally get all that information. It's free flowing. It's right at our fingertips. That's what the internet allowed. Blockchain allows the free flow of value between individuals real time without needing to wait on a third party. You don't need to, like, if we were working on a business project and I needed to wire money to, say some of you guys in New Zealand or Australia that are on tonight's webinar said, hey, let's do this deal together, and I've got to send you $100,000 to be a part of your deal. I can't, not right now. I got to wait. My bank's closed. It's 9:20 p.m. where I'm at right now, 8:20 p.m. where my other bank's at in Kansas. I can't get a hold of them. I got to wait till tomorrow. But if you had a Bitcoin wallet and sent me the address, I could send you 100 grand worth of Bitcoin right now, like tonight. It'd be done within 3-4 minutes, probably. The transaction would be complete. That's that free flow of value that blockchain allows. And it's coming to a theater near you soon. Blockchain is the fastest adopted technology in human history. It's growing like wildfire. And even Elon Musk says it's a far better way to transfer values than a piece of paper. And there's a lot of things that can have value, but certainly transferring money or information is very valuable these days. And to do it very secure and real time is something that's going to shift the way the world does business. Now, the best example of what a node is, when Tomas talked about buying these nodes, the best example I heard him talk about was, if you think of a cell phone tower, Verizon, we've seen farmland with cell phone towers probably quite a bit. Verizon or AT&T or O2 or Orange, like depending on Vodafone, what country you're in and who your wireless providers are, Movistar, if you're in Mexico, whatever, South America. If this is a Verizon tower, Verizon didn't buy all this land and build their tower on it. They lease a little parcel of land from the owner, maybe a farmer, and they say, hey, we'll borrow your land, we'll build this tower, and we'll pay you every month for letting us host our network on your land. That's what these projects do. They sell software that you can put on your computer, or like for me, I pay a third-party company to host it. They host this software in the cloud. I think Amazon and Google are starting to host node software now. I use it. It's cheaper to use. There's a company called Block Fabric that I use that's pretty cheap. And so I just pay them to host this software to keep my nodes running. And then each project pays me in this magic internet money for hosting their software on computer power. And if someone says that, hey, I want to learn more, I'd want to participate in what you guys are doing, you can become a node owner. You can purchase that software. You could also help others become node owners. If you do both, they reward you quite a bit. You could also just become a community member, and I'll talk about some of the different projects. But if somebody says, listen, I want to buy a node, as Ryan said, there's no guarantees here. This is high risk with potentially no reward. And I think, I've invested in oil wells. I've done oil exploration. There's definitely times where they drilled down and they hit a dry well. There was no oil down there. And whatever I put into that project came up as goose eggs. And that can happen here too. But what I love about these projects is they're real. A lot of projects in the cryptocurrency space, it's almost like this idea, oh, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're planning on doing, and they never quite get around to doing it. The projects we have, a lot of them are already operating. They're already generating real world revenue right now. But again, if you purchase Node software, I'm not going to go through every disclaimer here, but all I tell people is there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. Don't get crazy. Don't, take out a mortgage, sell your 401k out and buy nodes. Like, don't do something like that. Like, if you've got I call it the Vegas money, that you would go and hey, you can afford it. If it doesn't go well, that's what you'd put into something like this. And I know, people go, well, Tony put in over $50 million. It's like, yeah, but I've started 3 companies in the last 5 years that have generated over 1 billion in revenue. So it's not going to make me or break me. And everything's relative. Elon Musk spent 40 billion on Twitter, right? So like 50 million, that's lunch for him. I don't know. Everybody's got different levels of success. But for me, I tell people, be smart about it. If you love these projects and you do want to purchase some of the software, just make sure you can handle it if it doesn't go well. And there's several different projects. The beauty of these blockchain projects is they focus around what we call proof of action protocols that generate real world revenue and solve real world problems. And I want to go through a few of these projects. Galvin is a health and wellness project that gives us the ability to control our health and wellness. But long term, they want us to be able to host our own health records on our own blockchain, where we have private keys and no one else has access to our records unless we share it with them. We have our DNA records on there, and we're the only one with access. And if we choose to, we could share our data anonymously with the network, and they could use AI to aggregate all the users' health data, which tonight, we have 343 right now participants on the Zoom. If all of us were Galvin members and we all decided to share our data, they would pay us to share the data in these Galvin tokens. They're called IZE. IZE is the Galvin token. So it's galvanized if you put it all together. But they would pay us in that token for anonymously sharing our data. We would just get paid for doing that. With 343 of us, that's not that big of a deal. If there were 343 million of us, AI aggregating all that health data, there'd be no such thing as a rare disease left on the planet. If your neighbor's daughter had some rare disease and we had hundreds of millions or a billion users on this type of platform, you would tell your neighbor's daughter, hey, let's download her health records to this app, download her DNA, and then within a nanosecond, if she share it anonymously, get paid to do it, and the AI within a nanosecond would go, you know what, this is not that rare of a disease. In our database, we have 7,463 people that have the exact same symptoms, the exact same prognosis, and we've had 347 people already around 5 different continents utilize this treatment procedure and had amazing successful results. AI's recommendation is you get with the current physician, let them know this data, and see if they'll start these treatment procedures. That is the goal, is really to let human beings control health and wellness and not leave it up to one doctor or 2 doctors, leave it up to 1 million doctors and healers and scientists around the world and all the data aggregated. We also have a project called Grow. This is another one of my favorites. It's an agricultural blockchain. And I met Will actually in Las Vegas when I flew out there in October. And I was just excited about their project because I didn't think about this, but there's about 10 companies that control everything we eat. And there's conglomerates that are part of these companies, Monsanto, Cargill, but you've got General Mills, Mondelez, which was Kraft, Unilever, if you're in South America, and I would argue that a lot of these companies probably put more chemicals in our food than actual nutrition. And you never really have any idea of where did your food come from. Think about what you ate today. I know today, just this evening, I had shrimp here in Puerto Rico, but honestly, I don't know if it was wild caught or not. It might be cheaper to get farm-raised shrimp in China and ship it here to Puerto Rico and put it in my food than actually have fishers out there catching it? I don't know, but I'd like to, and that's what Grow allows us to do. Imagine if you ordered a steak and when your meal came out, there was a QR code and you could snap your QR code and it said, hey, Brian, this is cattle number 1176459 from Royal Ranch Farms in Washington State. This is certified organic free range Angus, never been injected with hormones, never been injected with steroids. It's grazed on 1,167.5 pounds of grass during its grazing lifetime. We processed it right here on the farm 46 hours ago. It's never been frozen. It was refrigerated, shipped to you for you to enjoy. And if you love that steak, you could order it directly from Royal Ranch. It'll be cheaper than going to the grocery store. And the farmer would actually make more money selling direct to the consumer than going through the commodities markets. So it allows us to control what we're eating. And you could get fruits, vegetables. There's a Grow farm that's 7 minutes from me here in Puerto Rico. They're actually known over the entire island for their eggs. Their eggs sell all over the island. But they have pizza. That's the only thing that's not, the only ingredient that's not from that particular farm is the dough. And there's a farm about 20 minutes away that does the grain, that they do the wheat and get the flour and create the dough from. And so you know what you're putting in your body. And I have Grow nodes that generate Grow tokens. The coolest thing about this, I can use the token to pay for my steak, milk, eggs, bacon, fruits, vegetables, anything that's grown on that farm. I can use my token. I can use a credit card. I can use, cash, but I can use my token. It's real world utility in the cryptocurrency marketplace, which is unheard of. Like, people don't buy Bitcoin so they can use it for the most part. Like, it's not like I couldn't go to, the store and pay with Bitcoin for my groceries. Like, you just can't do that. Here you can. Like, you can go to this grocery store at one of the Grow farms, or you can order direct from a Grow farm. And there's 7 farms right now, but there's like 20 on the waiting list. And we've got farms all over the world getting ready to get on the list. The farmers are already talking to us. So it's real world utility. We have another project, Element, that's our mining blockchain, basically ensuring that mining was done ethically. And after the mining was finished, they came in behind the land and planted mangrove trees. They made sure they're backfilled with farmable soil. They didn't just leave a bunch of dead land. And if you have a cell phone, if you have jewelry, if you have a watch, I can guarantee you, if you have a car, there's whether it's an electric car with a lithium battery, cobalt, whether it's a gas-powered car with a catalytic converter that's got rhodium in there and different precious rare earth metals. It's unfortunate, but between your cell phone, your car, watches, jewelry, I can guarantee you. So Element is basically ensuring, it's a blockchain certificate that ensures that anything we were mining was done ethically. There were no children, there were no slaves, there was nobody at gunpoint mining these materials. And if we had a choice that we could choose, a cell phone that some of the materials were mined by 11-year-olds, or we knew it was all adults mining and getting paid a fair wage to do it, I think we would all choose to have an adult mine it and pay a fair wage. This is probably the main reason I got involved with the projects as aggressively as I did. Kathy Roberts, I knew who she was because of my credit card processing company. She was one of the founders of Discover Card, and she was the president and COO of Discover Bank for several years. And when I saw her involved, and I got to meet her, and I was just thinking, she came out of retirement because this project would make everybody on the planet bankable. Everyone in the world would be bankable. And she knew this would make a huge difference. And you think about people being bankable, and I think of like a lot of third world countries, but there's people in Wichita, Kansas that are unbankable. There's people in San Juan, Puerto Rico that are unbankable. There's people in Tokyo, Japan that are unbankable. And it's like, that's a joke. Like, there's so many opportunities they'll miss out on because the system doesn't allow them to participate. This one does. It's the best crypto wallet I've ever seen by far. The first day they got me on beta, I used a credit card, bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and moved it into a cold wallet in under 7 minutes. Which maybe that doesn't sound like a big deal to you, but buy some Bitcoin on Coinbase right now. It'll be 3 weeks before you can move it, guaranteed. Like 2-3 weeks. Like you're never going to be able to move it in 5, 6, 7 minutes. So I was like, well, that's awesome. And then I have actually a Visa card, a Switch Visa. Got my wallet here. And this Visa card, if I put Bitcoin, now it's a non-custodial wallet. So if the company went out of business tomorrow, all of my crypto that's there, I can go get it. I can grab it with a cold wallet, just recover it. It's all my crypto. If I move any of it into their custodial wallet, it's available on this Visa card. I can use Bitcoin. I could use Bitcoin or Ethereum and pay for dinner just with this. If I bought dinner as $100 and I swiped this Visa, it would sell $100 worth of Bitcoin and then pay off the debit card right away. So that's the beauty of Switch. It's the easy on-ramp and off-ramp for people that have maybe never used crypto before or have no idea how to use crypto. The next project is one that I helped bring to the ecosystem. It was a good friend of mine. He started Revo Rideshare, and I was just like, it's like Uber. And I was like, if you use blockchain technology, it's so much more efficient. You wouldn't need to have 33,000 employees. You wouldn't need to have, a big centralized server or multiple all over the world that you're paying millions of dollars for. You could let the node network host all the rides, track all the rides, take care of everything. And if you did that, it would be cheaper and you could pay the drivers more. And that's what they've already done. We're operational. Like if you're in Miami, if you're in Palm Beach, if you're in Jupiter, Florida, if you're in New Orleans, you could actually take a ride on Revo right now. And the average ride is 10 to 20% cheaper than the exact same ride on Uber or Lyft. And the drivers are making 30 to 40% more on the exact same ride with Uber or Lyft. And on top, that's real money, just regular, in these, it's in the US, so they're getting US dollars. On top of that, they're getting the Rev token, which again, not a lot of value. There's nobody, just a few people using Rev. The blockchain actually launches like May 1, May 2, so it's not going to be that it's magic internet money. It's not going to be worth anything. But let's fast forward 6 months from now. What if there's millions of people riding on Rev? Well, then that could get exciting. And imagine you're getting Rev tokens when you get in the car and you take a ride. And if you told me about Rev and I downloaded the app and I started taking rides, you got paid as well. You get real money, but then you get Rev tokens. And then the next ride you want to take, imagine you use your Rev tokens to take the ride. You don't have to take a credit card out. You don't have to take cash out. You just use your tokens. And it's almost kind of like airline miles, or, if you have credit cards like Amex points or Visa, cash back points or whatever it is. That's what it is, because Uber doesn't give you anything for taking Uber, and so this is rewarding people, giving it to them cheaper, giving the drivers more, and rewarding them for helping us build the community. Rally's the last project I want to focus on. That is this kind of software, actually. It's a Zoom type software, Google Meet. We should be launching early May. That's our plan, which obviously that's coming up here in a few days. We're getting pretty close. It's still working. I mean, it's a big undertaking, but I've already done meetings on the demo. I didn't know if we could handle, there's 351 people on, so I didn't know if we could handle that right now, but pretty soon we'll be able to handle as many people as you could throw at us. And imagine getting rewarded for getting on meetings like this and doing meetings like this. There's no real loyalty in this industry, like the meeting industry. Like somebody sends me a link for Google Meet, I'm on Google Meet. They send me a Microsoft Teams link, I'm on Microsoft Teams. Zoom, they send me a Zoom, I'm on Zoom. If I was getting paid in rewards for using my own link, I would never let somebody send me a link. And I would tell them, hey, if you're not getting paid, you need to set up a link with us and start using it and get rewarded for using it. So that's the difference, is creating that loyalty that none of these other brands are creating. We do have a legal team Blockade that's really making sure that we're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, doing things the right way. Ken Cuccinelli is the legal advisor. He was the former attorney general for the state of Virginia. He was the deputy secretary of Homeland Security for the United States of America for several years. And so these guys and gals are making sure we're coloring inside the lines, doing things the right way. And to get started, probably the best thing is it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can get started. Whoever invited you onto tonight's webinar, you can get a link from them, click on it, and sign up for free. Now, if you said, listen, I want to do a little bit more than that, I want to learn more, there's an academy back there. You can go through compliance training. But at the end of the day, you can say, listen, I want to grab some nodes. You can purchase a Win node. For example, right now, they're $2,000 annually, but you can get a coupon for $1,500 off and pay $500 per node. And what's cool, and there's no guarantees, but so far, over like 7 years that Connect's been a project, no one's ever had to pay money to renew their node as long as they had it on and running, because it generates enough rewards that you can use the Win tokens to pay the renewal fee. So that's a great thing. And I just thought, you know what? If my tokens couldn't pay the renewal fee, it probably means that they sucked and I don't want to be a part of their project anymore anyway. So I looked at it like I didn't have much risk other than the first amount of money I was buying nodes with. Now, all the other projects, if you purchase any of their nodes, it's a lifetime. You don't have to renew anything or whatever. Like I bought a bunch of nodes for Switch, Galvin, Grow, Element. I bought a bunch of Rally nodes. I got a bunch of Rev nodes. You know, and I don't ever have to pay anything to rebuy those. Like I own them. They're my nodes. And so they generate those rewards daily and it just keeps coming. So if you're interested, I always tell people, figure out what projects you're most interested in. Get signed up for free. Go start learning about the different projects, go through the academy, learn about blockchain, learn about Ethereum, Bitcoin. It's got so much data and information for new people. And if you're more advanced, hey, it'll show you what different smart contracts are. You can get more advanced into the blockchain academy for sure. But especially for new people, it's a great place to start. And then you look at the projects that you're most excited about. For me, like as an example, I built an Inc. 500 restaurant delivery company with tens of thousands of drivers doing millions of deliveries every year. And I was just like, man, I could probably build a pretty big rideshare business. And then I've got networks that I've built of over 1 million people in 167 countries. I just figured I could get a lot of people to use software like this, like we're using right now. And if they're getting paid to use it, they're probably going to use it. Like, why wouldn't they? Versus somebody who doesn't pay them any rewards to use it. And so I got excited about the projects that I felt like I could make the most positive impact on. And the total sales payouts, 100% goes through the node network. And the node owners determine how it's paid out. One node equals one vote. We had a vote the other day that kind of added some percentages towards kind of the leadership folks that are helping to build the community. And it passed like 97%. But again, there was no one individual that said, I'm changing how we get paid. Like everybody in the community was able to vote. And a lot of them voted yes, you know, and a few of them voted no, and that's okay. But the community makes the rules, and they could put forth another vote a week later, and the rules could shift a little bit. But I love the fact that 100% is going out through the community. And that's how each project's set up. Timing and positioning is everything in business. The World Economic Forum back in 2021 said that there's about an $867 trillion disruption in the global marketplace. And if you're wanting to participate in that disruption, you can create a free account, grab a Win node and get qualified, or you can sign up for free and sell 5 Win nodes, and the algorithm will give you a free Win node. Go through the compliance training, share your link, and you're on your way to creating a massive community. And I'll wrap up with our promotions right now. If you become what's called a BlockBot 5 between now and May 10th, you can receive 5 free Win smart nodes, which at $2,000 a pop, because those coupons won't last forever, That's like 10 grand worth of nodes. And then you'll also be qualified to attend the exclusive BlockBot 5 incentive trip later this year for you and a +1. I'm pushing for a cruise. We'll see what happens, but I'm pushing. I think they're looking at a 7-day cruise potentially, but we'll see. But if you get to BlockBot, how does that happen? What do you do to get to BlockBot? Well, the first thing you do is you want to get to what's called Droid. And Droid means you're operating a Win node. You can purchase one right now with the coupon for 500 bucks. And now you're a Droid. If you don't have 500, you don't want to put out any money, and you say, I don't want to have my Win node, you can actually introduce 5 people who get Win nodes. And like I said, the algorithm will give you 1 free one. And as long as you turn it on, put it on your computer, you're a Droid, you're operating. Or you can put it in the cloud, like this is what I do, however you want to do it. Now, BlockBot, how do I get to BlockBot? Help 5 people get to Droid. Operate a Win smart node. Personally get 5 people that get to Droid. They operate a Win smart node, or they bring in 5 people who buy Windows. And you need to have 10,000 in community proceeds from transactions within your friend chain in the previous 12 months. How that works, our partner brands are basically 50% of the node price counts towards the community proceeds. The Win nodes, 100% of their price count towards community proceeds. So to give you an example, if you introduce me to this project and I signed up through your link, it connects us on the blockchain. I'm tied to you forever. The blockchain never forgets. It's a ledger, and I'm tied to you forever. Let's say I sell my mom a Win node. That's $500. A switch node, it's about $4,500 is what would be generated for community proceeds. And a grow node, let's say a couple thousand there, you'd have 7,000 in volume just for introducing me, and I sold a few nodes. Now, if you had other people do the same type of thing, you'd get to well over 10,000 in community proceeds pretty quickly. We've had folks do it in their first 24 hours, no doubt about it. We've had folks do over $1 million in volume in their first 24 hours. It's not normal. Very seldom does that ever happen, but I've seen it a couple times now, which is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. Some people know a lot of people, and they know a lot of people who are interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain and wanting to be a part of it. The next promotion is if you buy any 5 smart nodes of any brand combination, you get 1 year of free hosting credits. So if you don't want to host them on your computer and you want to put them in the cloud, you can get them most for free. If you buy 10 smart nodes of any brand, any combination, you get 2 years of free hosting credits. With anybody, with Volter, Block Fabric, whoever you want to host them through, they'll give you that credit. And that's now through May 2nd at midnight Mountain Time. The last promotion is if you buy 5 smart nodes of the same brand, you get 1 matching smart node for free. That's between now and May 2nd as well. Buy 5 smart nodes, same brand. So if somebody bought 5 Rally nodes, they're going to get a 6th one for free. 5 Rev nodes, 6th one for free. 5 Grow nodes, 6th one for free. 5 Switch nodes, 6th one for free. I don't know if they keep doing it for every 5. I doubt it. Or there might be a cap on 100 free nodes. I don't know. I'd have to look deeper into the promotion. Maybe someone else that I can pull on can go through that. But that's really the nuts and bolts. I know it's a ton of information. If you're new to blockchain, if you're new to this type of technology, here's how I'll break it down. All this is, in its simplest form, is we're taking people who are doing something every day and not getting rewarded for doing that thing, and we're starting to reward them to do it. And the blockchain, whether we like it or not, it is coming. Web3 is coming. And there's going to be companies and projects and people that change the world because of it. I don't know if we'll be one of those projects. I'm working diligently to ensure that we are, but again, there's no guarantees. But I remember, back when I was in college and Google was coming up, and I started using email in college, and this was like in the late 90s. And like email was actually started in 1981. A lot of people don't realize how long email has been around. But I didn't start using it until the late 90s. And, more and more people started using it. And then in 98, Jeff Bezos started Amazon. And it wasn't until around 2007 when like the iPhone came. So there's a pretty big gap. That's when the internet was new. You know, when Google and Yahoo and Hotmail, you know, I call them, we all said they're internet companies. Oh yeah, they're one of those internet companies. They're all out of California, out of, you know, Silicon Valley. They're internet companies. Nobody says internet companies anymore, right? Like all companies are internet. My accounting firm, like we have a pretty big accounting firm. We did over 10 billion in tax credit filings in the last 24 months. I don't think we have a hard copy to sign an engagement letter. Like you have to sign digital to sign our engagement agreement. You have to go through our website. Your whole portal to upload your documents through our secured server is online. Like every company's an internet company. If they weren't, they wouldn't be a very big company. But today, when people ask me about what I'm working on, I have to tell them, oh, I've got these blockchain projects. I've got these blockchain companies. I bet in a year or two from now, we'll never say that because all companies will be blockchain companies. If you're not, you're probably not going to be able to compete. And that's what the blockchain allow us to do. Just like the internet, I used to pay my credit card bill with a check. I remember there's a younger, one of my business partners in some gyms that we own flew with me to Puerto Rico. He flies back out tomorrow. He just wanted to talk business during the flight. And he was like, you wrote a check for pay? Like he didn't get it. He's like, you wrote checks to pay for your credit card bill? I was like, yeah, there was no internet, you know, like when I first got my credit cards, you know, like it was the only way to do it. And then I remember, you know, like Capital One would say, you know, send mail payment to this address, or go to www.capitalone.com/visa/pay or whatever and pay online. And I never did it. And then I think I had a few friends that were like, oh, we just pay it online. And I was like, okay. So then the next bill came in, I typed it all in, attached my bank account, hit send. And I remember like that second, I was like, I'm never mailing a check in again for this stuff. This was so easy, you know? And it's like, even today, you can still mail a check and pay your credit card bill or your Amex or whatever. But nobody ever does it because the internet's running right beside it going, hey, it's a better way to do it. You can still do it the old way, but there's a better way. You can do it this way. Blockchain is just coming in beside the internet. Imagine in the next 2 years, you have a login on your phone and it's a blockchain, super secured login. You do a face recognition, you know, you put in a little password and you log in, and then it gives you an option to log in everywhere because it's so secure. You can say, yep. And now that one password, that one face recognition, the blockchain certificate that knows and proves that it's you that's logging in, it automatically puts you into every site you'd ever need to be in. Log in one time, then you can go check your bank statement, pay off your credit card bill, order something on Amazon, watch something on Netflix, watch something on HBO Plus. You could literally and never need another password. How much easier would that be? Now, what's cool is that's going to happen. And 90+ % of the world that's using something like that will have no clue that it's blockchain. They're just going to know that, wow, that's way easier than having to memorize 40 different passwords. I mean, I have so many emails and I have so many different passwords. For some websites, it has to be 8. Sometimes it has to be at least 12. Sometimes it can't be more than 12. And it's like, some of them need a special character. Some of them don't allow a special character. So I've got like, you know, like 12 passwords in my head. And it's like, it's one of these 12, you know, I'm guessing wrong, right. You know, and then I'll remember, all right, that's one's got the exclamation point in it, you know, whatever it is. It's like, how much cooler would it be to use blockchain, log in once, and then I'm in everywhere. And it's way more secure than having 400 different passwords I have to memorize. It's coming, whether we're a part of it or not. But I can tell you this, the people that were a part of the internet going from email in 1981 to Bezos doing Amazon.com in 98 that 98 to 2007, 2008 run where the iPhone came out, the people that were a part of that, we know them. People like Elon Musk with PayPal, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, Sergey Brin, with Google. Like, we know they're not just we, like, I'm talking all of us. Like, if you're on here from Australia, you know who Elon Musk is. You know who Jeff Bezos is. You could be in New Zealand. You could be in China. You would all of us around the world that would be on a meeting like this know exactly who those people. Mark Zuckerberg, we know them all because they were a big part of that internet revolution. Who's going to be a big part of the blockchain revolution? And I just figured, why not us? Why not now? It's happening with or without us. We might as well be at the tip of the spear. We might as well be at the front of the wave. So to wrap up tonight, I want to have a few people just share a little bit about their story, why they're so excited. I see Patty on here. I don't know if Herb's with her as well, her husband, but I met them not that long ago, a couple months ago. I don't know, maybe a little more than that, maybe a little less than I can't remember, but she might know the date. And she had never, I don't think, even really heard of blockchain or had any desire to learn about blockchain. And now she has one of the fastest growing teams in the world in the Connect community. So I'd love for her to just kind of share her story real quick and just what she's excited about with our project. So Patty, can you kind of share with us a little bit about how you ended up where you're at today with us?
Yes, Tony. Well, surprise, surprise. Thank you for having me on. We are extremely excited, but I honestly, when we went to Puerto Rico to meet you, as per Darren Kidd gave me a call. We've stayed in touch now for years, many years, dozens of years. And we touched base. We were getting off a cruise ship. He says, why don't you come with? I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm not taking any networkers on. I'm not doing any coaching, and I'm going to make $50 million in the next 12 to 18 months. And I was, if it wasn't him, I would have thought, okay, good luck. But I ended up, flying out there with Herb, and I got off the ship, flew out to Puerto Rico, met with you, Tony, just had a blast. I mean, it was really a fire hose of information because I'm the person that had my fur up in the air when the internet came home, got my first computer, and I saw all this porn that I wanted nothing to do with the internet. But regardless of how I felt, look what happened. And now great grandma uses the internet. So fast forward, now we're out in Puerto Rico meeting with you and Wright and some of the people that were just mentioned on this Zoom tonight. And it was just so amazing what we learned. And even though it was a fire hose of information, because quite honestly, coming from you and Wright and people who have been around it for any length of time, they start to talk over, it was already learning Chinese, but what ended up happening was slowly but surely it started to make sense. We were open-minded, left there with one wind node, and we thought a switch node, and since then have decided to do quite a few nodes here. I think we got quite a few nodes firstly, but we've also introduced a lot of people. And of course, in that affiliate project, that the affiliate part of the way that we're making money, we've done extremely well there. But we see that the bigger picture is definitely, as the projects take off, get traction, the more traction we get, the more people we expand with, the more we care enough about people. And what we networkers, as one of the things that Wright said when we were leaving Kauai, which we didn't even know there was a contest. A couple days before that, we found out that we won it. So people on our team weren't happy. They were like, why didn't you tell us there was a contest? It's like, we didn't know there was a contest. But the one thing that Wright said leaving Kauai that really fired me up was that, and I don't know if you remember this, Tony, but he said, I don't know if you guys realize, but we're taking on every industry, every evil thing. And because for me, what I love about this is it's very mission-based. So you have the money, that transference of wealth, if you will, into the hands of people that are righteously inclined to stop all of this nonsense, the blood money, the blood diamonds, the things that are happening with different projects that we have. I know Wright and his wife Stephanie and their daughter are big on stopping trafficking and all of that. I line up with that. Putting perpetrators behind bars, I line up with that. And then he funded number one. I don't know if he's number one funder, but he's a top funder for the Sound of Freedom. You know, things like that really move me. And where I thought this was a nefarious space for nefarious usage, making money out of I don't know what. I didn't understand any of it, but I took the time because I have good discernment. I asked God for discernment and wisdom on people. And I really loved you. I loved your wife. I loved, Wright and Steph and everybody that we met out there. And as I looked into this further, and I encourage everybody that's listening to this right now, look into this and look into it, because I'm going to tell you what, if you don't take action on this, probably not going to, you probably kick yourself. Like Tony, your story was perfect. Was perfect.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So I didn't want that to be me, but it was more than that. I saw this, and I just pray that all of you see this. And if you don't see it yet, by saying NO, I just feel like you don't KNOW enough. You just don't know enough. So look into it, do yourself some justice, because we have something and it's just right. Connect United is an amazing company. There's a marketing arm, and we have projects, and it's like they're really businesses, and these are going to take off, like Tony said. They all have merit, all of them. I'm a little more bullish on some than others, but definitely see quite a few of these doing what Gala Games did, which was go from a fraction of nothing to 87 cents at its height, right, Tony? Huge.
That's where it hit. Yeah, it's peak. And yeah, you never know. Like I said, it comes down to usage, right? Are people using these tokens to get real world utility? Are the projects growing in real world revenue? And, there's a lot of us that have built some pretty big real world companies. So we're just looking to do the same thing again, but with blockchain efficiencies, do it better.
Yeah, that's good.
Which thanks for sharing. Herb, I'd love to hear from you as well.
Oh, well, what's also interesting is that, the timing of this, Tony, you're doing an amazing job. I got to say thank you. You really, you put the message across where a first-time person hearing it for the first time, they can actually get it. I mean, we unfortunately didn't get it when we were in Florida. We had no idea what you were talking about. Seemed to be way over our head, but you know what? I mean, we made a decision to investigate it more and to analyze to see what the validity of what you were talking about was. We certainly didn't question your success, because, it is what it is. I mean, it was nice to hear about it from somebody with the level of success that you have. Our background is a bit different. I mean, we've come from, a place where we create networks of people, right? I mean, talk to people, we create these networks of people. But my messaging to networks of people this past year is that the power of the network is the network. What we decide to do collectively, we could, move the needle, like you say all the time. So we can move the needle on the advancement of Connect United. It is really a standalone project, if you will, in the world on the blockchain that's actually, putting forward, these projects that just make sense. I mean, anybody who's been involved in the networking community, right? They've been on video conferencing before, just like we're on right now. And so when our link launches, I mean, that's going to be kind of exciting. I mean, it gets to the point where our enthusiasm is so high right now that one phone call comes in during the day, and we want to explain to that person exactly what's going on here, because we believe we've come from a place of not understanding what this was 8 weeks ago, where we can effectively explain it to the next person really simply. And so if everybody understands that, we can take the 300 some odd people that are on this call tonight and expand that to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, 100 million in a relatively short amount of time. Guys, this won't take long. This is going to be like in the next 90 to 120 days, we're going to have some pretty good indicators of where this is going, and a lot of you are going to be shocked.
I agree. I agree. And I think a lot of the people that are on this webinar are going to be a big reason. Like you said, I think we can take 300 and turn it into 3,000 and 300,000. So thanks, Herb. Thanks, Patty. Appreciate you. I wanted one more person to share. We're a little over an hour, but another person that's, again, new to crypto. And that's Danny Gassmer. Are you still with us, Danny?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear?
Awesome, brother. I see you're picking up the better half from the airport today.
You had to fly commercial today, Tony.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll get that changed over here pretty quick.
Well, I appreciate you having me on there. And, you know, for friends that know me, like, I didn't know anything about this stuff 10 weeks ago. And I remember Tony was telling us about nodes and crypto and blockchain. I remember looking at my wife and saying, what the hell's a node? Like, what is that? Like, I was in the insurance business. I was in the network marketing business, and every company that I got involved with, I didn't know anything about it. And I had to learn it. And I was scared to death, and I didn't understand it. And I was like, am I going to be able to do this? Well, very quickly, I learned this because I went through the training. I mean, I went through it because I'm like, I'm a dummy. I don't know this stuff. I want to understand it. And I'll tell you what, I don't tell people to do this, but I've told people this is my journey, not yours. And my journey, I put everything on hold. I put my life insurance business on hold. I put my real estate stuff on hold. I put my everything on hold. And I'm putting everything into this because I see an opportunity. When I talk to two billionaires, the biggest thing, when I talk to Wright and I talk to Tony, and they said something to me that changed everything. They said, when you make the money, and everything Herb and Patty said, I agree with. They said all that too. But they said, when you make the money, I'm going to sit you guys down and show you how to never run out of money and create generational wealth. Guys, nobody's ever said that to me. Nobody in my life. And I worked hard in every business I had. Another thing they said is, this can never be taken away from you. This is always going to be yours. And I thought, look, I'm 50 something years old. I'm still got a fight in me. I want to build something for my future. I don't need a bigger house. I don't need a bigger car, but I need to be able to go bless other people. I love doing that stuff. It makes a huge part in my heart grow. I love doing that. So I said, I got to figure this out and learn how to do this. Money wise, I've made more money in the last 12 weeks than I've ever made in any company in the beginning of my life. I don't say it to brag. I'm saying it like, you guys that are on here know me. I'm the question boy. I probably drive Tony crazy with the questions. Look at him laughing. But it's like, I want to learn this. I want to be able to help other people. So look, if you don't understand this, get back to the person that introduced you. Ask them over and over and over again the questions, and you'll be comfortable with being able to go move forward. But I see this as a once in a lifetime opportunity. I see it as an opportunity to help other people and grow. So I look forward to working with you guys. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate your time on here.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for being on. And to wrap up, I wanted to have Brian kind of share his story, and maybe Ryan share his story as well. They helped to put together this meeting with, well over 300 people. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you sharing your time with us to learn a little bit more. And I'd love for you guys to hear how Brian, came to where he's at today, and how Ryan Luelf got to where he's at today. So Brian, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your story, we'd love to hear it.
I'd resonate with kind of Danny. I mean, I've done a lot of different things. I ask a ton of questions. I literally was asking questions in every single chat and Discord for every brand. I'm like, these people are probably going to think I'm crazy or I'm hacked. And I've made more in the first 30 days in this than I did in anything else. And it's just kind of like, I just got started. I'm just now getting started. I'm still getting questions. What's blockchain? So, my story is, just get out there and share, because nobody knows what blockchain is. Nobody understands what's going on, but they do understand what Bitcoin has done since they were first, someone shared Bitcoin with them. And they're like, I wish I would have really looked into that some more. So I'm like, hey, you remember when Bitcoin came out? They're like, yeah, I didn't understand it. I'm like, if you would have paid a little more attention and maybe watched something on it, would you have got some? And they're like, absolutely. And I'm like, well, that's what this is doing, so my perspective is just like, keep sharing, even though people aren't totally understanding it. It's going to change so many people's lives. And, this has just been so much fun, so much knowledge I'm soaking up. And I'm so grateful to have met Ryan, to get you on here, Tony, and to have Billy as a, resource for us to help do Zoom. So, I mean, guys that don't really need to do Zooms for us, if you're on here listening, they don't really need to do this. They have their own money, you know what I mean? But they're doing this for us because they want us to become successful and be in the right spot. So I appreciate, the level of care you guys have for us, newcomers coming in, that I've been tainted by so many horrible projects. I was health and wellness, and then dive into crypto and feel like I just got punched in the face by Mike Tyson for the past 3-4 years, so I'm excited. And, working with Ryan, his energy, I was like, I want to stay close to the fire, even if he's not even in my organization. So that's why I wanted to connect with Ryan. So Ryan, what's up?
Hey, Brian, appreciate you, man.
For sure. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Ryan Luelf, live in Tulsa, Oklahoma with my wife, Caroline. We have 4 kids. I just turned 44. I've pretty much been an entrepreneur my whole adult life. And, I think from me, everything is unfolding. Whether we realize it or not, everything is unfolding in a way for us to become more self-aware, for us to evolve. When we have things happen to us that we don't particularly care for, or they're very difficult, for a lot of people, it can debilitate them. It can actually make them a bitter person. They can begin to fall into victim consciousness, and they can really spiral downward and really kind of turn their human experience into a pretty miserable one. And the other option, though, is we can see everything that happens to us as contrast. So when I look back on my career, in the first 20 years of my adult life, I made over $10 million. And I found myself around the age of 40 with essentially none of that money left. Now, I could have really felt sorry for myself. I could have thought, man, I've blown it. How could I have made that happen? But thankfully, I dug deeper into, well, let me get curious about why has that unfolded? And I won't go into all the details, but what I discovered is that I was raised in a financially racist home. Now, I love my late father who passed away a couple of years ago. I'm very close to my mom, and I am not upset at them. But my parents, they struggled financially. Now, we were never poor, but they could never really break free out of kind of paycheck to paycheck. And it created a lot of tension. My mom always wanted my dad to make more money. There were times they had to say no to things that they really wanted to be able to do for me and the kids, or for their kids, for me and my brother. And their default was we made jokes. We mocked and made fun of rich people when I was growing up. Now, not egregiously. Most people on the outside would have never noticed this. And so my subconscious developed a survival mechanism of fear that if I became rich and wealthy, my family and my parents, the people I needed the most love and acceptance from, would then treat me the same way. And so I discovered that even though I had made a lot of money, the reason I didn't have any left is because my subconscious had to get rid of it all in order for me to not lose the thing it wanted even more, which was the love and acceptance of my parents. And so in the last few years, I made peace with that. I had a great conversation with my mom. She doesn't believe that anymore. She didn't mean to. I didn't hold anything against her. And in the last 36 months, our net worth has went up more, and we've made more money, me and my wife, than we ever have in our entire 25 years career as an entrepreneur. And so, guys, I'm just telling you, mindset, what's going on at the subconscious. There's a reason then why we have now met up with someone like Tony, who's worth several hundred million. There's a reason why we're getting to be around billionaires. It's because when you start to remove the unconscious roadblocks, when you begin to realize that you may have been born into a family, an environment, it's not necessarily their fault. It was probably dumped into them from someone else. My parents did the best they could. I am so grateful for them. I love them beyond anything I could ever express. I'm not mad at them, but I sure am thankful at 44 that old program and that old subconscious thing is not interfering with me. So here's the truth,
I
guys.
can express everything your mother all.
Here's the truth, guys. Although I do absolutely believe in Connect United, I absolutely believe in Wright Thurston, I believe in Tony Swantek. I genuinely am putting my money and my time and placing my bet, knowing I don't have a crystal ball, that this thing is going to do something really big. I intend to make 100 million or more with my family over the next 18 to 24 months. But that is still, just because I believe that and feel that way, there are way too many things beyond my control and way too many variables. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know for sure. It's just as much of a risk to go all in and be committed and share this and build it and buy nodes and put your money and your sweat and your time into it as it would be to say no and then have to find out later that we crushed it. So you're never going to have complete certainty as a human being. You're always going to be risking something. I just choose to know that if I'm living life to the fullest, I'm fully alive, and I've removed a lot of those self-sabotaging subconscious programs, then if for some reason this one doesn't lead me to my financial goals and the promised land of where me and my family want to be financially, it will somehow still set me up and launch me into the other thing that'll be after this that I will. Or it will be the rocket that takes me to the moon. I can just tell you right now, make sure you got a seat, because we're going there and we want you to go with us. So guys, I'm just so blessed to be here. I love collaborating with people who are win-win type individuals and just add value to everyone else. It's been a blessing, Brian. You and Sally add a lot of value to me and my team. I've already been implementing some of the things that you've taught me, and I'm just excited to see what unfolds over the next 2 years.
Right on, everybody. Well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Brian, Patty, Herb, Danny. Appreciate you guys all sharing, and appreciate each and every one of you, again, that took time out of your evening, Sunday evening or Monday morning, Monday afternoon, I guess, depending on where you're at. Some of you guys are already over there into your week. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sharing your time with us to see what we're doing. You know, and I don't know if, you know, Brian's like, oh, we don't have to do this, but it's like, I really do. You know what I mean? Like, I realize that God has gifted me with different talents and abilities. And one of those things is to share with people opportunities. Now, that doesn't mean they're guaranteed to come through. That doesn't mean, you know, that they're guaranteed to win, but at the end of the day, I believe in what we're doing. And I believe that God is leading us in the right direction to help make a very positive impact on the planet. You know, who wouldn't want to know that there were no children mining any of the materials that are in your cell phone? Like, wouldn't the world be a better place if we could get rid of child mining? Wouldn't the world be a better place if we knew there weren't a bunch of chemicals that we're putting in our body? Wouldn't the world be a better place if an Uber driver that did a ride for you that you paid $100 for didn't get paid $22? Like where'd the rest of the money go? You know, wouldn't they be able to provide for their families better if they made a little bit more money? And it's like, there's so many things that the blockchain, it just adds way more efficiency into day-to-day business operations that centralized computing won't be able to compete with. Now, there's certainly challenges right now, just like when you had dial-up internet. Some of you guys are too young to remember that, but I remember, you know, a picture, it would be like a website, it'd be like 3 minutes for that puppy to load, you know, like before you could look at it. It's like those days are long gone. Now, it's so funny for us that came from that. And now, like, when I get on my phone and I'm like, I'm trying to open a website to check when my flight's there, and it's like, it's taking half a second longer than it should. I'm like, oh my God, my phone, like the internet's terrible here. You know, it's like, that's going to happen in blockchain. Like, I'm just telling you, like, everybody's like, what's blockchain? What's blockchain? But it's like, my mom doesn't know what HTML is. She doesn't know what SSL certificates are on the internet, but she knows that if she wants to watch the Pittsburgh Penguins play hockey, she can log into ESPN Plus and fire it up on her smart TV. Now, she doesn't think about the internet, but she's using it because it makes her life better. It's more entertaining. It's easier to pay her credit card bills. It's easier to check her bank statement. It's easier to keep in touch with me and see what I'm doing and check out my Facebook page or whatever. It's better. And blockchain is going to make it even better. And the real question is, are we going to be a part of it? I think a lot of us have made that decision. Yeah, we've already decided we're going to be a part of it. The next and probably the most important question this evening for you to ask is, are you going to be a part of it? Are you going to lock arms with us? And for those of you that do, I want to be one of the first to welcome you into the Connect family. So we'll wrap it up tonight. Whoever invited you onto this webinar, get them to send you their link if they haven't already done so. Sign up for free on that link. Start going through the Academy. At the top, there's something called Academy. Just start learning. And if you've been in this space for a while and you just want to sign up for free and start buying nodes, click Buy Nodes up at the top. You don't have to learn what blockchain is if you already know what it is. But for new folks, I'm telling you, sign up for free and just start learning. Go through the Academy, and then you'll figure out where you want to go from there. I appreciate each and every one of you. Looking forward to chatting with
Tony.
you, hopefully in person soon. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, just one last thing. The Rev and Rally projects launched basically April 1st. And because of just the overall generosity and just the interest level and the amount of people that wanted to take advantage of those even before they even went live, they basically have given the entire month to keep the initial price of $2,500. Normally, they would have already went up quite a bit, because for every 100 nodes that are sold, they go up $100. I have no idea where we're at, Tony. Maybe you can give us an idea on, how many hundreds or thousands of Rev and Rally nodes.
I had one guy buy 100 Rally nodes the other day, so that would take the price up $100 with one guy. But we just had over $1 million day the other day, so I mean, that's going to take it up quite a bit.
So
yeah,
we've got 2 days left. Is all I wanted people to know. If you happen to get to a place where you're ready to move forward, you've gotten the facts that you need, and you are in love and bullish on the Rev and Rally projects, like you think those are ones you really want to take part in, it would just make sense then. And you would also be getting in with the promotion. So if you're buying 5 of those or 10 of those, you're going to be actually getting free nodes. You're going to be getting either 1 or 2 years of free hosting. So listen, I never want anybody to act any faster than they're ready to act. And I definitely want people to do it because they understand what they're doing and they have the money. But if in the next 48 hours, you're that person and you are ready, you're just going to basically get a bunch of bonuses. So I just wanted people to be aware of that before we, sign off here tonight.
No, that's good advice. I want everybody to buy 4 nodes because there's no company. So I actually am giving that. It's my nodes I'm giving away. It's me, which is funny. On Rally and Rev, I have a bunch of them. I'm just kidding. Hey, buy as many as you want. I'll give you nodes. That's fine. So but yeah, it is what it is, guys. And again, there's never any guarantees. I want you to know that. Like, I look at this and I think my favorite thing about these projects is I think people like us can move the needle. We can make a difference in how many people use our meeting software, how many people use our rideshare, how many people, want to know what they're eating, and they use, the grow farms to order their food and eat direct. And so if we can go out and spread the word and build the community, we can help our chances. Again, no guarantees, but at least we can help play the game. It's one thing to watch the game and hope your team wins. It's another thing if you're one of the star players and you can make sure that you have the best chance possible. You train the hardest, you work the hardest, you study the playbook, and you go in to win that game. And the better you play, the better your chances are. And again, there's no guarantee your team's going to win, but if you're on the field and you can have an impact, I think that gives us all, a sense of confidence that we have a say in the game. And so I appreciate you guys being on. Whoever invited you onto the webinar, click on their link, sign up for free, get started in the party, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet you guys in person on that cruise if you're a BlockBot here in the next few days. Have a great night. God bless everybody.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Later, guys.